What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Blue Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. You know what's funny? Before I get to this, Myles Garrett has re-signed with the Cleveland Browns after people thought it was going to be an extended holdout. Okay, yeah, okay, because basically what we got was, I will never play again here. No, I'm done. I want a Super Bowl ring. I want. It's not about money. It's not about money. That was just yesterday, and lo and behold, money talks and BS walks. Myles Garrett today, boom, back in Cleveland for life. And it might be a life sentence, but at least he's got more money, more money, more money. And see, I was talking this morning, if you watched my morning video, I was talking about Harold Landry, where all of a sudden now, a guy who's got 19 and a half sacks, they're trying to tell you that he sucks. That he's just not doing dick. And I was also talking about, well, actually I hadn't gotten to this, but I was thinking about Genty. The Cowboys saying that there's no scenario where we would draft Genty. I was actually going to do a video about that because, see, the problem for the Cowboys is they are easy to read, and more times than not, there's been a player out there that we've wanted, coveted, and that we thought we'd go get, and other teams would too, and they know that we were going to, and they would jump in front of us to take them. So what you have to do is you got to deflect. And so this morning, I'm here at the Red Brick House, okay? There's this house. It's not a very big house, but there's so many different areas and places and all that. This is a desk that is from my father-in-law. It's an old drafting desk. And I have the battle map from the Battle of Waynesboro. And this relates, just hold on, I'll get to it in a second, but see, this relates to everything that's going on. I always say there's not new ideas. It's just basically rehashed. Yes, it may be modernized, but the same thing is true. We keep repeating the same things, and this is where I like to use history to point out things. So this house was here 1820. And the Battle of Waynesboro was significant because in that battle, it only lasted about a half an hour. But more battle flags were captured, 17 in that one battle, than any other battle in the Civil War. 17, two of which were Union ones that were recaptured back. And this battle was significant because it was the last battle in the Shenandoah Valley, and Jubal Early was relieved of duty, and the remnants of what was left of his forces joined up with Robert E. Lee and Appomattox and surrendered. The reason I'm bringing this up and looking at this, and come here. See, here's what you have to understand. What you have to understand is, this is the river that's right here. The Confederates occupied the city, and they created battle lines that went all the way across, close to the river. But they figured because of the woods that were here, that this area, they're not going to go through. They're not going to go through here. So we won't put any troops there. What Custer did was, he ended up finding out that that was their weak spot. And what they did was, they wheeled their corpse right there and got their flank. And once they got their flank, they rolled right up on them. The soldiers were dismayed. They literally ran out across the two crossings over the river, and the General Early and some of his officers, they got out on Rockfish Gap. And you're still like, who gives a shit? But see, here's the thing that you have to understand is, you have to disguise what you're doing, okay? You can't let people know, here's what we have. The Confederates were trying to disguise and make you think that they had that protected, but they didn't have enough to cover it. And that's why they were overwhelmed. And what the other side did was, they found your weakness and they exploited it. And see, herein lies the problem with the Cowboys. We do some things that are really, really good, and we know these things. This is the difference between being a playoff team and a non-playoff team. The Cowboys are a great team by design to have a lead. You know, we blow teams out, and that's when Micah Parsons and everything else feast, because we are or have been able to battle with the lead. When you have a lead, I'm pinning my ears back and I'm rushing the quarterback. And that's when Micah Parsons is strongest. But the weakness of Micah Parsons and the weakness of the Dallas Cowboys, in much the same way that Joe Early's forces got rolled up on, is we're not good against the run. We're not good in the trenches. And that's where people exploit us. They understand if you run right at Micah Parsons, you'll make hay. He's not big enough to be able to toe the line. And that's where the Cowboys are short-sighted. They look and they say, well, Micah Parsons, he's a generational talent. And we as fans, we say, he's going to win the battle by himself. But you can't. You got to be strong across the line. Had Juba Early, and this is where I'm looking at this right now. He's strong over here. He's got some artillery. He's pretty good across the middle, but the other end is weak. The other end. And when you're weak, that's the point that we're going to attack. The weak spot. And this is why the Cowboys fail. This is like, when we get to the playoffs, why we get routed. We're light, we're quick, we're a reactive force that goes after you. But when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, we have not had enough strength in the middle. And this is where it behooves us to understand that Micah is an incredible weapon. He's like cavalry. He can move lightning quick. He can get anywhere on the battlefield. He can get anywhere there and exploit a situation. But you've got to have the trenches taken care of. And we have not done that. Osa is another guy who is kind of like Micah. He's a little bit on the lighter side. He gets the pressure. He can get upfield. But if you don't have the trenches together, and this is where a Jonathan Allen can come in. This is where Hargrave can come in. This is where hopefully Mozzie steps up. Is you need to be able to have those guys that when they get hit by the infantry, they can hold the line. And then I can have the cavalry come in there to clean up the quarterback. So this is why I like to say, football is like war. You have to strategize and find the weakness. Now, Myles Garrett, I didn't think that the Cleveland Browns were going to trade him. It didn't make any sense for them to get rid of a generational piece because they would take on more money. Yeah, sure. You can go ahead and get draft picks. And the reality of that is draft picks are great until you actually use them. It sounds great when you say, we can get 2 number ones for Micah Parsons. Do you count on getting somebody who's better than Micah Parsons at his age with that first number one that we get? And more than likely, it's going to be a team that is looking to win now. And so if they're looking to win now, that's probably a team that's going to be drafting later. So if you're looking at a draft pick that's in the 20s to take a Micah Parsons, that ain't good. Your chance of getting a guy who's that good this year are not. So you take a step back. And then, of course, the following year, if they get a Micah Parsons, they're probably going to be good the next year. So your 2 number ones might not be that good. Your better bet is using free agency and taking care of your battle lines. Your better bet is getting Micah Parsons under contract before it costs you any more. And these are the problems for the Cowboys that, as a Cowboy fan, it's like, oh, here we go again. We keep repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again. We can go down the line of contracts that we've waited to get done that have screwed us monetarily, and screwed us with the player being the best player they can be. At some point, Micah Parsons is going to say, F you guys. You're going to pay me a max contract, and I'm not going to show up and do shit. And when that happens, it will hurt the team. You can learn a lot from history. And this is another case where you started to feel good about the Cowboys, but then you realize they're the same dudes. The same dudes that have been screwing up for 30 years. And to the mother humper on Twitter, who is tweeting, trying to, hook up with and roll on the bandwagon with Dan Saleo, because Dan, of course, has asked me to be back on the show on Wednesday, and I have no problem. He's sitting there saying, I'm scared to, hiding. I don't hide. My motherfucking high yellow ass has been here every single day, taking all the shit from your Eagles. And anytime Dan and Jackass, who was tweeting at me, who say that I'm hiding, anytime Dan Saleo's asked me to be on his show, I've been there. I can't say the same about Dan Saleo showing up for shit like the Eagles game that he said he was going to be at, or training camp, which was only a few hours away from his house. So don't come at me. Don't come at me telling me that I'm full of shit, or about me constantly doing videos. Yeah, you can constantly do videos. This is true. Anybody can. But do people watch them? And apparently, you're one of the mother humpers that watch them. Yeah. You can best believe all of you sorry-ass Eagle mother humpers can kiss my ass. I ain't going nowhere. And you can do your emojis with the big pile of shit and talk about me and everything else. You know your life is better because I'm here. Yeah. Sorry-ass biatches. Peace.